got that thing going. Nice one. Oh, stay open. Nope, nope. That's a good one. And the old Spy. I had both hooks. Not complaining about that. Oh, you are a cold fish. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. It is a cool, chilly fall day here, and I'm out here catching a few fish on a spy bait. And I thought I would give you guys some of the retrieves that I like to fish a spy bait with, because I've gotten a lot of questions recently regarding spy baits. You know, it is a great cold water bait. It's one of those that can generate strikes when a lot of other baits, for some reason, will not generate strikes. So I wanted to walk you through a handful of different retrieves that I like to use. But before I do share those with you, I do want to remind you, if you're looking at supporting the channel and you need to purchase some tackle, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. I'll put it in the video description for you. And it's a great way to show your support, and very, very much appreciated, because the little bit of money I make from that comes right back into making video content for you guys, which hopefully is helping people learn from myself as well as I'm learning from you guys. So it's a good relationship we got going on, and it's one that I am enjoying quite a bit. So let's get to showing you a few of the retrieves that I like to fish a spy bait with. So the first retrieve that I like to do is generally the most standard. It's where you throw it out. And one of the nice things about a spy bait is you can cast them 1/4 mile. Throw them out, I let them sink to the depth that I like to have it at, and then I'm just slow retrieving it. Now, if I'm fishing a shallow flat, my rod tip is probably pointed more upwards. If I'm trying to keep my bait down, I'm gonna have it pointed towards the water. But that's just one of those things. It depends how deep I'm fishing. So in this case, I'm going down a break line. I'm gonna have my rod tip pointed down just a little bit, and I'm just straight retrieving it. This is one of the few baits where I feel like a straight retrieve can be as productive as anything else. So generally, this is the retrieve I start with, but you can see how slow I'm retrieving it. That's one of the reasons it's not a great search bait. You just can't cover a ton of water. So you want to feel like you're in the strike zone. You really want to feel like, you know that the cast you made is where there's fish that live. And that's when the spy bait excels. If you've got an area where you know that those fish are going to be, that's one of the best casts to make and one of the best baits to throw. But a straight retrieve, maintaining it at a constant depth, is a very acceptable retrieve with a spy bait. I generally would never say that about any other bait, but with a spy bait, it will work. So that's one retrieve. A second retrieve is to throw it out. I count it down to the depth that I want, and then I actually will move it quickly and then stop it. Move it quickly and then stop it. So it's a stop and go retrieve, and a lot of those bites will hit as soon as you stop it. This generally works well if you're fishing over a big flat, or if you're fishing around some grass and you just know you've got some aggressive fish. I do like to do this during warmer water periods for smallmouth, or during fall period for smallmouth, where they've got a lot of bait that are pushed up into some areas. But I'll fish it with a stop and go retrieve. Now remember, these baits generally don't fall that fast. You can get some bigger, heavier ones, but I'm throwing it out, and when I say retrieving it fast, I'm not burning it and killing it. I'm just moving it and then kill it. Move it, kill it. Move it, kill it. Again, a lot of times if you are fishing during the cold water period, you don't want to move that bait too fast, and you need to keep it down to the point where those fish are going to want to come up for it. If you're too far away, the colder the water you get, the more they tend to not want to chase. So you just got to keep that in mind. As you get cooler water, the strike zone narrows, which means your bait needs to stay closer to where those fish are at. So that's another retrieve style. A third retrieve style is where I know I've got a target. So let's say I've got a boulder, or I've got standing timber or a piece of pole timber, I'm gonna retrieve it to the point where I go just past that object, and then I'm killing it and I'm letting the shimmy take over. I'm gonna keep my bait, I'm gonna keep my slack line controlled, and I'm just letting it fall now. So I'm basically tight lining it by that object. As soon as I've gotten by that object, I'm gonna start the retrieve up again, and just then usually go into a straight, steady retrieve. If there's a fish there around that object, they'll come and get it. But that shimmy, you know, is critical. I mean, that bait's just falling and it's shimmying. So you want to take advantage of that shimmy. So if I throw it up here, there's a little bit of a rock, and I straight retrieve it, I get to the rock and then I just kill it. And it goes into the shimmy, and then I start my retrieve again. So depending on how deep you are or how big that object is, you might let that bait fall for 10, 15 feet, but you want to just basically let that bait shimmy past it. Now, that's a third way, but that's really about your isolated specific key targets. You can also tight line these. So in this case, I'm sitting in 25 foot of water, throwing up in the 7 or 8. I'll throw up to where that break line is, engage my reel, keep my rod tip pointed up, and I'm just letting it shimmy on a controlled line down that break line. So in that case, it hit the bottom, I'll retrieve it a little bit, and I'm letting it shimmy. So it's almost like you're working that bait like a jig. And that's one of the things you want to remember. This bait does put a lot of action into itself as it's shimmying on the fall. And there's a lot of fish that find that really hard to turn down. So if you've got a specific break line that you're fishing, you can throw these kind of like a jig in a way. Now, you're really not making a ton of bottom contact. That's not the point. You almost want your bait to stay off of that break, but to shimmy down that break. So it's not making bottom contact. You're just engaging the reel, and it's shimmying down that break line. And you're keeping it, say, 10 feet off of the bottom as it falls. So, you know, it's just falling along that break line. That can be an absolute killer way to fish it, especially if you've got a lot of fish that are in a very lethargic mood and they have a hard time with that bait just shimmying by them on the fall. So those are the 4 ways I like to do it. Generally speaking, like I said, a steady, slow, straight retrieve can be killer. But the one thing you don't want to do with a spy bait is overfish it. You know, if you're twitching it like this, generally what happens is the bait is going to end up getting caught on itself. You go into that straight, slow retrieve, and you're just letting that tantalizing action of the bait do its work, and the fish just see an easy meal and they don't want to pass it up. So if you're not throwing a spy bait, you really might want to try it at times. It is one of those baits that can generate strikes when other ones don't. It's one of those baits I've seen on lots of occasions where fish just will bite this and they won't bite other baits. It's a pretty cool bite too, because you're generally just feeling it and all of a sudden you'll feel a real defined bite. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section, do you fish a spy bait in other manners? Are there things that you do that are working for you that I didn't mention and other people could learn from you as well? Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.